Thousands of people are reported missing every day. There can be various reasons why a person would go missing. They may want to start a new life, they may have been kidnapped, or have been a victim of a crime. Although only a small number of people have gone missing under mysterious circumstances, today we'll be uncovering these bizarre disappearances which involve UFOs and bright lights. After claiming to witness UFO sightings, these people simply vanished. Despite years of investigation, their disappearances still baffle police and investigators. Number 5. Phyllis Montclair and Robert Wilson. Stationed at the Kinross Air Force Base in Michigan in 1953, Lieutenant Felix Montclair witnessed an unidentified flying object on radar. Felix and radar observer Robert Wilson were both sent to investigate the UFO with an F-89 Scorpion interceptor when the craft seemed to merge with UFO on the radar and vanish. When this occurred, Montclair and Wilson were flying over Lake Superior whilst closing in on the UFO, while travelling at speeds of 500 miles per hour. To this day, no wreckage has ever been found, and since then, no planes have ever flown over that area. What happened to Lieutenant Felix Montclair and Robert Wilson and their plane? We will never know. Number 4. Frederick Valentich. In 1978, Australian Frederick Valentich was flying to King Island from Rabban Airport near Melbourne when he spotted a UFO. The mysterious object was hovering about 1,000 feet above his aircraft when he reported its strange lights and behaviour. Soon after, Valentich's aircraft started malfunctioning. Air traffic controllers heard Valentich's last words, "It's not an aircraft," before he disappeared. Weirdly, during the weekend of Valentich's disappearance, there were 10 UFO sightings in the area. To this day, Valentich's airplane has never been seen, although at a recent UFO conference in Melbourne, Australia, we attended, one speaker reported talking to a farmer who had sighted a UFO-like object from a distance on his property. The farmer said that the spacecraft had a small plane that fitted the description of Valentich stuck to its side, as if by a magnetic force. A few years later, the speaker went to investigate the farmer, but found he had since moved and was unable to locate him to verify his story. Number 3. The Canadian Roswell disappearances. Known as the Roswell of the North, strange lights have been witnessed in the skies over Lake Anjikuni in Canada. In November of 1930, fur trapper Joe LaBelle walked into an Inuit village which was on the edge of Lake Anjikuni. To his astonishment, he found this village recently abandoned with food still cooking, piles of clothes left, and untouched food stored in huts. Where had all the people gone so suddenly? What makes the disappearance more confusing is that graves were found disturbed and had been emptied. Canadian Mounted Police have still yet to solve this mysterious disappearance to this day. Many believe the sudden disappearance of the village inhabitants is related to reports of UFO sightings seen on the night the Inuits vanished into thin air. Number 2. Brown Mountain disappearances. For centuries, there have been many disappearances on and around Brown Mountain in North Carolina. The first disappearance dates back to the year 1200 when the Cherokee Indians witnessed strange lights in the sky. At the time, they believed the lights to be the spirits of Indians who had died in battle. One of the most famous legends of the Brown Mountain lights was of a plantation owner who was hunting in the mountains and got lost. His slaves came to look for him and were seen searching through the hills with lanterns. They never returned, and neither did the plantation owner. During the 1850s, after a woman had disappeared, the local community joined the search for her when one night they witnessed again strange lights appearing over Brown Mountain. The search ended without a trace of a body, and a large group of searchers themselves disappeared. Finally, in 1852, a UFO investigation went underway called Project Blue Book, which launched an extensive study on the Brown Mountain lights. As a result of this study, the Air Force classified the Brown Mountain lights as unexplained. Most recently, in 2011, hundreds of witnesses claimed to see lights hovering over the Brown Mountain when 3 police officers and 24 people vacationing in a nearby camping area went missing that same night. The local police have an open investigation, but have come up empty. Number 1. The disappearance of Sgt Jonathan P Lovett. This is one of the strangest disappearances involving UFOs to date. Witnessed by an Air Force major in March of 1956, Lovett was one of the earliest victims of reported human mutilations perpetrated by aliens. He was observed by Major Cunningham being taken captive on board an alien aircraft that appeared at the White Sands missile range in New Mexico. Major Cunningham and Sergeant Lovett had been out searching for debris from a recent missile test when Lovett went out of Cunningham's sight over a small sand dune. It was then that Major Cunningham heard screams of terror or agony. Thinking Lovett had been bitten by a snake, Cunningham raced to where he heard the screams and saw him being dragged into a silvery disc-like object which hovered in the air. He observed one of the aliens dragging Lovett and described it like this. It appeared to be a long, snake-like object which was wrapped around the sergeant's legs and was dragging him to the craft. Major Cunningham was frozen in fear as the sergeant was dragged into the disc, which then took off. Major Cunningham reported the incident to Missile Control, whereupon Missile Control confirmed the UFO on radar. After 3 days of searching for Sergeant Lovett, his naked body was found approximately 10 miles away from the abduction. His body had been mutilated, his tongue had been removed from the lower portion of his jaw, an incision had been made just under the tip of his chin, which extended all the way back to the esophagus and larynx. He had been castrated and his eyes had been removed. Also, his anus and genitalia, the apparent surgical skill, had been removed. His body had been completely drained of blood, but reports stated that Sergeant Lovett had been kept alive during this time due to the fact that his body not showing signs of vascular collapse. Major Cunningham was initially accused of murdering Sgt Jonathan P Lovett, however, charges were later dropped. What do you think about these mysterious disappearances? Are some of them just missing persons cases, or is it something more sinister occurring? We'd like your comments.